Now, escalating fuel prices occupied center stage at a two-day Fuel Retailers Association's conference. Contrary to what consumers may believe, the country's retailers revealed that the high prices also affected their bottom line. Fuel prices shot up soon after Russia invaded Ukraine in February, and observers have cautioned that higher prices may become a reality for some time to come. The country's Retail Fuel Association CEO, Reggie Sibiya, joins us now to explain the impact of prices on the sector. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. You saying that retailers are also feeling the pinch of the rising fuel price hike. Talk to us about that.
Yes, thank you, Mpho. Thank you for the opportunity. As you rightfully said, we had a two-day conference reflecting on a number of challenges that we as fuel retailers are experiencing. Contrary to what many people may believe, when prices go up, they actually impact on our margins in two ways. The first way is that then the working capital keeps on increasing, and more of our members have now been going to the bank, and most of them are actually on overdraft facilities, and they are really, really being squeezed, and banks are becoming very cautious. It means that this is becoming very, very problematic, just from the cash flow point of view, because you need close to $1 million, to get your full site, fully prepared with all the products. So as the prices go up, that working capital requirement also goes up. Secondly, most of our expenses are actually linked to the pump price. For example, your credit card cost is 1.75% of the transaction. So as we speak today, that 1.75%, the transaction of a credit card being swiped, is around 42 cents a liter. Now, if you think about that the allocation for profit margin for a retailer is 31 cents a liter. And then when you swipe the credit card at 42 cents, that is a clear, undisputed measure under recovery. So we are under serious pressure. And the third element is that the more these prices go up, the less consumption we get from motorists, because they are also squeezed, in their wallets. And the tendency is that somebody will say, I always fill in 500 rands worth of fuel at a particular point in time, maybe once or twice a month, and they don't change that amount. But when the prices then go up, that 500 rands now give you less liters than you would have actually got it, let's say, 3 years ago.
What about, perhaps you can carry on, but I wanted to quickly just maybe jump in to say the alternatives when it comes to the petrol price model that needs to be proposed for South Africa. What would that look like to perhaps assist with this major crisis?
Mpho, that's actually a very important point. And in terms of our theme at the conference, which was focusing on building up on the landscape changes, this is a major landscape change, and it affects us as a net importer, and we are not alone in this. And I think what first needs to happen is that when there's a crisis like this, we need to be very honest and transparent about how margins are calculated. And if you look currently in the margins or in the pump price build up, the retailers really end up with R1.64 a liter. So that solution cannot come from retailers. That's what we've been saying. We've been hearing people say, let's deregulate the market, because when we deregulate the market, retailers can compete. But retailers cannot compete with what they are getting, and which is also still under recovering by 12 cents a liter. So that's why we then say, government interventions needs to be realistic. Governments needs to be
Mr. Sibiya, I believe you may have placed your mic on mute. If you could please unmute so that we can carry on talking.
I am not on mute.
Yeah, there appears to be.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
I think it just keeps on cutting by itself. So we're just saying then that there's a need for a proper balance from the government to look at both the motorist interest, but equally so, look at businesses' interest and also the socio-economic interest. It is a very difficult balance, and we're saying that, when the government was saying, well, let's actually, in proposals that were sent out, government was saying, we will actually look at cutting margins. But we're saying that is not a solution. You're actually going to kill the businesses. That's why we as well are saying, well, you can't come and look at R1.54 and forget about maybe the taxes that are in place and see where you can actually give relief on the taxes. And as actually the collectors of taxes, and also we are paying the taxes. So I believe we can provide solutions or propose solutions to the government, as they've also made proposals that we must look at cutting the margins, something which is not going to be actually sustainable at all, because this threatens then the supply. Because when businesses that supply the product are no longer able to supply it, what is the benefit of a cheaper price? And finally, Mpho, let me just state this. It doesn't help our situation, right? But the facts are, as a net importer, when we compare ourselves to long deregulated markets like UK and US, today in UK, a liter of fuel ranges between 35 rand to 45 rand a liter, because they are net importers. And what we're seeing in those markets is that the government is doing different, interventions, like giving vouchers for fuel, giving vouchers for food. But we are not hearing governments saying let the retailers compete with themselves. So that is definitely not a solution. The solution is it must be holistic. We must look what are the major contributors to the pump price. And then we as retailers, if we can share anything, really we will be happy to do that, because these motorists are also our customers. So it's very, very important that we all first acknowledge the problem and be realistic about what factors we can control, what factors we cannot control, and then make sure that then when we go to the public, we go with a story that is complete, not in a piecemeal fashion. Sorry.
Yes. We also heard President Cyril Ramaphosa, as he delivered his budget speech vote, saying that fuel prices and food hikes, saying that there's not much that can be done because on government side, they've responded by dealing with the price of fuel and releasing strategic stock. Is that sufficient? Especially also perhaps maybe considering the impact of government extending its grace over general fuel levy costs and cuts. What do you make of that?
Look, I do appreciate that the government is really under tremendous pressure, like all of us. So, and that's why in our conference again, we're calling for unity in action. That the more we work together and the more we consult and we look what are the other alternatives that can be done, short, medium, and long term. I believe that, while we're still looking at the long-term solutions, the government should try and assist as much as they can from their side, because we're also relying on government for our sustainability. So it's not just the motorists crying out to government. It's also us crying out to government and saying, we still want to, we don't want to be wealthy, but we need to get reasonable returns in terms of our investment. That's all we're calling for. And, for consumers, we're really with them in this. I think we need to look at broader economic environment. And we also know, Mpho, that the geopolitical situation, which is between the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, is the major cause of this. And we believe or we hope that can be resolved as soon as possible.
Sure.
Because that is then going to help us with the reduction of
Thank you so much. Let me thank you for your time. Reggie Sibiya, CEO for Fuel Retailers Association, just weighing in there on the impact of the fuel price hike.